You live more than I die after.
Good evening, Mayor. How are you?
Good evening, I'm good, how are you?
Not bad.
Hello, Jill.
Hey, how are you?
Good evening, how are y'all doing?
Yeah. How are you?
Doing good, thanks.
Okay.
I'm already getting hands.
Stop.
I'm gonna make sure before I run this.
It's so shy.
Or standards, you know.
Can I see it, Bill, right?
All right, folks, we'll go ahead and call our study session to order. It is 6:31 p.m. If we can stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take the roll call, please.
Councilmember Williams,
Brother.
Reed, Jackson,
Here.
Waller, Davis,
Here.
French, and Mayor Snyder.
Here. Our study session is to go over the items that we are going to be asked to vote on in our regular session. So to start off, we have applications for boards and commissions. We have CJ Frost, who is here with us this evening, that has applied for the planning commission. Rebecca Soltis, my understanding, is out of town today, so she was unable to be here this evening. She applied for the district library. And then Dave Atchison has applied for the DEC board, and I believe he's here as well. Barbara McAllister has reapplied for the board of review. And I have also submitted my application or my name for the board of review as well, since we need to have seats filled before the upcoming meeting. So do we have any questions, comments before we have to make the decision at our regular meeting? All right. Next, we're going to be asked to discuss if we have any members that are interested in going to the conference this spring. Do we have anybody that would like to go? Councilwoman Reed would like to go. Anybody else? And this is the next one.
No, and this is for the Capitol Conference, it'll be March 12th to the 13th in Lansing at the Lansing.
But then,
March 12th and 13th.
Councilwoman Waller, would you like to attend the CapCon conference?
Yes, ma'am.
In March, okay. So those would be our two.
Yes.
Yeah, can you sign it?
What's the budget that we have for that?
I would have to, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's total for the year, conferences, but I can check the total.
Okay. Did we have two go last year, do you remember? Did we have three?
I think it was 3, I believe it was Councilmember Reed, Lawler and Jackson and Davis, so 4.
Oh, okay. All right, okay. So we good with those? Okay. Next, we're going to be asked to approve of the 2024 Parks millage allocation. So City Manager Snyder, do you want to give us some info on this?
Yep, so the 2023 allocation report as well as our 2024 allocation request was included in the packet. So for 2023, we utilized our county parks village funds to hire 3 additional seasonal workers for the Parks Department. With the new addition of the splash pad and the features at McIntosh Park. And then we also utilized those funds to do the emergency repairs to the Victory Park structure here this past fall, splitting those costs with the Community Foundation, utilizing their Victory Park Fund. So total millage expenditures for 2023 were $17,027.51. That left us with an ending millage balance of $26,228.83. So for our proposed or estimated 2024 allocation, we are set to receive $27,745.91. We are requesting that we utilize a total of $50,000 to go towards the match for the Albion River Trail Expansion 3 project. When you all approved the resolution to apply for funding through the Michigan National Trust Fund, we allocated dollars through our Parks millage to go towards that required match. So this will fall in line with our grant application, and then we will utilize, it's an eligible use for those dollars. It does still leave us with a small balance of $3,974, which we can utilize for if there's anything else that may come up, or enroll it over until 2025 will be the final year of the current 5-year millage.
Dr. Williams?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So, City Manager Snyder, will that, with those additional funds complete the financial side that you needed for the work trip?
It's one piece of it. So our total required match is $180,000. We have submitted a grant to the Michigan Trails Fund for $100,000, so it will cover a good portion of our required match.
Any other questions? In regards, yeah, Manager Jackson?
No, thank you, Mayor. So you said 3,000 something, whatever left in you?
Yes.
I know we wanted to get signs and all that, so it's been, that is still gonna show.
No, so the signs are still a part of the blueprint for better Albion that we didn't look at.
Okay.
So that's already allocated out of that.
Okay.
So that's where that.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Next, we're gonna be asked to approve the resolution for the Great Lakes Fishery Trust. City Manager Snyder?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we received a grant for the Albion Dams project in the amount of $150,000 through the Great Lakes Fishery Trust. We have received that formal grant application. This will be for the next phase of that project. They are finalizing that feasibility study report, which will be presented to you all in March. And we know that 3 of the 5 options include some sort of removal, whether it be some or all of the dams. So this will just help for the next stage of designing whatever decision, choice, or option you guys decide on, that will fund the next step of that.
Questions or comments in regards to this item? You good on that? All right. Next, we're gonna be asked to approve the agreement for the water operator services. City Manager Snyder?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we've had some transition within our Department of Public Services. By law, we are required to have an OIC or an operator in charge. So before you is an agreement with Loomis Water Consultants. Jay Loomis, he is a retired employee from the city. He served in this capacity before, I believe it was in 2021. We went through a similar transition. So we are just recommending we renew that agreement so that we meet the state requirements and have an actual OIC in place.
Any questions or comments? Yeah, Councilman Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. City Manager, is this a long-term, is this a role that someone should be like qualified on, or is it one that we always hire out?
No, so in the past, we've had people, our staff who've had the licenses, right now, unfortunately, we do not have someone to have the top license that is needed. People would like to see a long-term employee of the city, however, we don't have anyone with that license requirement. So we do, right now, the agreement is for a year with the hopes of, hiring someone internal to have that, to hold those requirements. But right now, we can't really wait on that, because we have to have someone in place, per those requirements.
Okay, training, is there plans to train?
There are, but the licensing requires not only training, but testing, so they have to go and test for these licenses. We do have, someone in place on staff, Dennis Torrey, he serves as our backup. He has one of the licenses, but not the next one to be the OIC. We always encourage our staff to pursue those licenses, it's just, they have to be willing to take the necessary trainings and the testing to qualify.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No? Next, we're gonna be asked, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was out of vision there. I just want to let council know, this is substantively the same agreement council previously approved the last time the city contracted with Loomis. We just beefed it up a little bit, added some standard contractual provisions, but otherwise it's the same agreement that was previously approved.
Next, we're gonna be asked to approve, of the EDC budget amendment in the amount of $2,750. City Manager Slater?
I would ask EDC president. Speak on this.
City manager, good evening, mayor and council. Thank you for having me here. We needed to do a budget amendment for FY '24 because as we were writing the 24 budget and working on the 23 amendments, we found a mistake in 22. So I started in October of 2022 and there was training, $2,750 worth of training that was geared toward brownfield work. And it got classified to the brownfield fund, and that's not an appropriate use of brownfield fund dollars. So brownfield is just a pass through. And so we needed to reclassify that back to the economic development fund. I think that's 244. So the details are in the packet. And I believe I did it the way the finance director was hoping, and he had asked me to wait until 24 started and to just go ahead and do an amendment on the 24 budget. We was scrambling to try to do everything at the end of last year. So we thought it was just easier to wait and do do a transfer now. So we will incur an expense in the 244 fund of training for $2,750, and there'll be a credit back in the brownfield fund. There's not really any money moving. This is just, moving the expenditure from one fund to the other. So this is the way that I believe we needed to accomplish that. The EDC board already approved this, so I was just bringing it here because I think this council has to also approve the budget amendments.
Do we have questions or comments for either City Manager Snyder or Ms. Amber? All right, thank you. Thank you. Next, we're gonna be asked to approve the lease and purchase of new public safety vehicles. Chief Kip, you wanna give us info?
Yeah, the first one come out under the $66,000 is what is already budgeted this year to buy a full car. And every year, we lease those cars for a 3-year period for $22,000 each year. And so this is just the approval for that lease, and it's a lease to own, it's called a municipal lease, so we own it after those 3 years that once we pay it up. So because we're entering into a lease, we have to have council's approval to enter into the lease, but that money is already budgeted for that vehicle. The second vehicle for the $5,400, so back in 2001, we were not able to get a vehicle, so we've been behind a year on vehicles ever since then. I was talking over Deputy Chief, and he brought up the fact that we have 2 Dodge Chargers that have been costing us a lot of money. They're in really good shape, and they're currently running right around 80,000 miles. We believe, at that mileage, based on the value of the vehicles, that we can get somewhere between 15,000 and 20,000 for each of those vehicles, which is gonna cover about a third to, or I mean, about half to 2/3 of what the new vehicle is gonna cost. And the remainder of that money, we plan on taking out of forfeiture money for the time being until we can find other money to replace that with, so.
Do you have questions for Chief Kip?
I think he answered my question because I was wondering, do you resell?
We do, in general, we don't get that much for those vehicles, because we usually run them we keep most of our vehicles for about 10 years, and we run them upwards to 120 to 150,000 miles. The Chargers in particular, we knew with the SUVs tend to last a lot longer than the cars do, and we knew we might have trouble with them, and at about 80,000 miles, they really start costing us maintenance wise. They're Dodge Chargers. Everybody asks me about when we sell them, when they can have them, because they are all-wheel drive and they have Hemi engines in them, and everybody wants them. And Dodge quit making the Hemis with the all-wheel drive in 2020, so they're very sought-after vehicles. So I thought this might be the perfect time to get rid of a couple vehicles that we could actually get really good money for, to replace them with the vehicle, so.
So what type of vehicle will be this third one that you're looking at?
We're gonna get 2 Chevy Silverados, so.
So you're leasing two, correct, or just,
Just one. We're gonna purchase the other one outright this year.
okay, and both say,
Yeah, and we're gonna use forfeiture money. Currently, we have $217,000 in forfeiture, so there's plenty of money to cover that.
one lease. Anybody else have questions for Chief Kip?
Thank you.
Good, thanks. Next, we're gonna be asked to approve the DPW electrical upgrades, Deputy Chief Kern. You wanna come on up?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Mayor Snyder, it's Monday. City Manager Snyder asked me to do, I noticed some electrical hazards when I went out to the DPW street garage. And so I told her that we need to do an inspection. So I did an inspection of all of the city facilities, along with Chief Kip. And there are some like serious problems. This is an example of one of the lights in the break room at the street department that's caught fire. And half of them are in all this, this shape. This right here is a burn mark from when they turn the lights on, it would arc across before it would turn on. And it would just fry the paint and everything right off of it. But the rest of this is all where it's caught fire, burned. Half of the light fixtures, just at the street department alone, are like this, or they don't work at all. So I went to the cemetery, the parks, everywhere else, and there's some serious OSHA violations. There's exposed wiring. When I walked around with the different electrical contractors to get bids, they all noticed that because of the fumes that are at the street department or other places, it's a light switch flick away from an explosion. So we had electrical contractors come in and give us prices on replacing all the lights, going to LEDs. Some of it, we actually qualify for rebates because some of the lighting is incredibly old in some of the other buildings. Not only that, these are also facilities that some of the public sees. And so when they walk in and they see our facilities with this, it's a reflection on our town. And so we really need to upgrade our stuff. We've been upgrading City Hall over the years. This DPW got upgraded back in 2010-ish from Honeywell. Half of those LEDs are burned out that they put in, and they're like a first generation LED. So this is for Albion Electric. They came in with the lowest bid for them to do this. They've also done the Calhoun County Road Commission garage with the same type of issues that they had. So we're asking to have them start replacing everything.
I just want to add, Todd Weaver, our loss control specialist with MML, came out and toured our facilities, and he actually praised the work that we're doing to improve the condition of that. As WG.
We are way ahead of other communities by taking the steps to upgrade. Our goal is to actually have, OSHA has a voluntary inspection session, they'll come in, they won't issue tickets right away, but we want to have them come in and do an inspection on our facilities. So it's all about keeping everybody safe and us, our city looking good.
So to remediate all of the electrical work, it will be $65,000. That will be spread between our streets, parks, cemetery.
The fire station, because those are all first generation LEDs, when it was first built. But that's the Rieger Park. That's all of the buildings except for wastewater treatment, and the water treatment plant outside of town. Because those are all getting upgraded with the grant.
So do we have a budget for this? I mean, we've already approved.
It
24.
has not been approved in the 2024 budget, but Director Clark, he is aware, so we'll be bringing forth an amendment to cover this cost. But if we wait, I would say it's gonna cost us more. And it's really opening us up to liability. If, God forbid, something were to happen.
Plus the fire.
Yes.
There's not the exhaust fan at the street department doesn't even work. So every time they fire up the truck inside that garage, you can just see the haze. And so what they have to do is they have to open up both big doors and hopefully there's a wind that can push it through. Other than that, it just sits there. So it's diesel exhaust fumes, everything. I mean, it's like, you gotta do some work.
So I've been out there before and the whole thing needs taking care of.
Yeah.
You should see what the workers have done so far. It is absolutely amazing what Manager Snyder's allowed us to do. We'd like to have the council members come out and take a look when we're done. There's places you could actually eat off the floor. They've got it so cleaned out there now, but this is kind of the last step.
I was going to ask, who's going to take care of all of the maintenance that needs to be done?
We've already started to go through and remediate a lot of the OSHA violations, flammable liquids cabinets, personal protection equipment. City was pretty bad about it. And so what we did is, myself and Chief Kip basically took the contacts that we had and were able to get it for the public works side at a really good discount. So
How often does OSHA come out to inspect?
usually it's only when there's someone calls to complain. And so instead of that, we just wanna fix everything now because it's also about giving our workers, a good place to work, a nice safe environment where they're actually not driving around in junk and they actually have a nice facility to work in with nice tools.
All right, any questions or comments? Councilman Waynes?
Yeah, going forward, can we make sure to put all three of the bids in here so we can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it, other than that.
Any other questions or comments for Deputy Chief Kern or City Manager Snyder? All right, sounds good, thank you. So, given the time and then our last item is just a discussion, I'm gonna go ahead and open it up for public comments. If there's anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and address council, you have 3 minutes. If you just give us your name and address, the floor is yours. All right, seeing none. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh,
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Study session adjourned, 6:54 PM. Do not go far.